if you are intellectually part of the situation, then you cannot analyze the situation. If you're a part of any situation, any question, you just fill in your own meaning, any question, any problem that you're attempting to study, then you will be unable to study it in the sense of being able to always ask just one more question if you're part of the question. If you cannot, in the true sense, objectively, that is, impersonally, that is, you've got to be able to think somewhere outside of where the neural processes are taking place now. If you cannot truly always ask just one more question, then you remain part of the question you're attempting to answer. Which, for those of you that would like to leave early tonight, that about wraps up philosophy. Okay, if you want to really leave early, that does wrap up philosophy. And of course, all human thought. You might also note that if you were just an ordinary person with ordinary interest, and you could take on this kind of approach, but if you know, always asking just one more question without trying to prove anything, literally being able to do that. But if your interest in whatever the area was simply ordinary, then if you could simultaneously hold that kind of interest and do this, I should point out that would drive you bonkers. Earlier I said that you just quit thinking, but if you could do both, that is, you'd quit thinking about whatever the area was, but if you could do both, you would go nuts. Okay. All right, I'll tell you why if you insist. The old ordinary crowd of neural Greeks lolling about the city would not put up with the intellect's inability to come to some conclusion, much less, may I say, any deliberate attempt not to do so. Now, if you'll jump back right quick, let's take the legend of Socrates, and that apparently this kind of thing took place out there. Do note what they did to that poor man. The city collectively, these other neural patterns, institutionally and collectively, finally had enough. Exhausted, almost driven nuts. But let's put it back now from that story, to get you started again and jump off the board, back internally to one person. The fine citizens of Athens just finally wouldn't put up with it. Consider what that represents, the way I started this little turn of the good crowd of neural Greeks hanging around Athens, the citizens, would simply not put up with the intellect, the Socrates part, the king part, the one dancing forward at any particular moment that seems to be in charge. And if Socrates is asking the questions and somebody else is listening, even if it was a general or a prince, while Socrates was talking, he was dancing forward. And the prince is having to go, all right, yes, yes, or the poet. It could be somebody richer, bigger, more famous, more powerful than he is. But as long as Socrates was saying, well, let me ask you this, then the other guy was going, okay. But the time will come that the people dancing backwards, the good neural citizens of Greece, of Athens, simply will not tolerate, they cannot tolerate an intellect, a Socrates, an intellect that will not, by God, finally come to some damn conclusion. You're like, what's the point of this? That's bad enough, because they'll do away with you. Don't worry about the citizens of Athens are going to come after you and Not unless you're a lot more important than I thought you were. Don't worry about that, but worry about this. They will gang up because they cannot tolerate within the confines of regular thought, three-dimensional thought run by polarized energy. Not only can they not tolerate not coming to conclusion, but consider what this is up to. They cannot tolerate not finally coming to conclusion, but much less to even consider the possibility that somebody is deliberately trying not to. I mean, what are you going to do after you poison the man once? That's like the Kairook from a few nights ago, if you remember. The king that was still ranting about somebody he had recently dispatched. One of his ministers pointed out, why don't you give it up? You killed a man once. You can't go back and hang him twice. I mean, you did what you did, and that's the end of it. And it made the king so mad to consider that one of his foes would deprive him of continual enjoyment that the king, if you recall, immediately invented memories and recollections. That's where those came from, according to that legend. So consider the intellect, the neural citizens of Athens, those that might be questioned through this kind of process. Not only can they not tolerate, they simply got no choice. They cannot tolerate a continual influence in their fair city of a power that seems to be questioning, that seems to be playing the ordinary neural game, but never comes to a conclusion. Socrates, what the hell? You never get anywhere. You keep asking, and I give you an answer, and you ask another question, and I try to ask you something. Like, well, what's the point of this? And you say, well, do all poets wonder why somebody questions them? You're driving us nuts. What's the point? It's not getting anywhere. The sentence never comes to an end. You're never satisfied. That's bad enough. They couldn't even, that's why I was saying they poisoned him for that. Allegorically. But consider what they'd want to do if they thought, that son of a bitch knew what he was doing. He's deliberately doing it. They just assume that, it's just the way he is. But what if they found out that he knew exactly what he was doing? They would try some way. I guess we'd have to play the Pope Formosus game again. They got son of a bitch up. Well, do better than they did, not just retry him, re-kill him. Poison him again. Your own intellect at the ordinary level, I'm not trying to, I don't mean this in any sort of dangerous way that's going to drive you nuts, because if you're not nuts already. But it cannot tolerate this. And I'm not saying it's going to turn you nuts. That's why you can either hear something or you find something interested in this kind of crap stuff, activity, or else you don't. But the ordinary intellect, if we could reconfine, even more constrict three-dimensional reality and have somebody that really wasn't equipped for this and make them hear some of it, and forget it being between me and them or you and them, it would be internally. It would be their citizens, their regular neural activities, saying, what in the hell are you doing to me? You're driving me nuts, figuratively speaking. You're just driving me nuts. We don't get anywhere with this. But the power of it is for a few people, whoever the hell they are. Nobody can pick them out. Nobody can recruit them. Is you're pushing into what would be life's greater tomorrow. You're pushing in one lifetime past the point of the facts here, that not that the facts going on as we know them in this city today are true or false. It's that you find out that whatever they are, they're going to change, because that is the nature of the factual world, is to change. That all facts, no matter great cosmic facts, great religious truths, all facts will finally fail. And so you're just pushing it in your one lifetime, that you got to be 20, you got to be 50, except you went in some other direction. That you don't care. It's not that, the kids are down the streets again, raising hell and trying to attack us, figuratively speaking, us old, wise, grown people whose hormones are real tired. And we're up here in the safety of our buildings. We're upstairs in the condos and upstairs in the halls of justice. And now there are those young fuckers down there raising hell again. Get them out of here. It's not only that you don't do that, but it's also not that you go, boy, they're on the right track. No, they're not. They're on the proper track, but they're on the right track. And so you're not proving that, well, I'm surrounded up here by all these old timers. Everybody's all set in their ways and blah, blah, blah. They're set in their ways down there. It's that you're not proving that either one of them is right or wrong. But you can question them all, but it's on the basis that you know that everything's just right. You know that the limits are always being broken. You know that today is not tomorrow. If it is, we're all done for. If all facts are not going to finally fail, then we're going to fail. I don't mean as being unsuccessful. I mean sleepy time forever. If facts quit failing, if facts became permanent, if facts began to approach the stability, the certainty of the actual world, then it is doomsday. It literally is. Here, it is a kind of doomsday, if this could happen in an ordinary person, that they could continually be impersonally dissatisfied with the facts. But not out in the street ranting at the powers that be and the conventional wisdom and those in positions of authority. That's nothing. It's internally that whatever's going on, if you can impersonally, objectively, without self-referral, and all of those meaningless, though sometimes perhaps serious-sounding phrases, it's just you either know how to do it or you don't. But since that doesn't make for a very interesting lecture, I don't guess, to say, well, I'll tell you what this is about. You can either do it, by God, or you can't. Are there any questions? All right. The ushers will pass among you now, and so you call it something. But it is thinking outside the ordinary norms, and it's not something that simply can be learned, and it's not taking any of the facts, any of the information that is now true, that is now correct, that is now available. If it was now, or if we went back 2,500 years on another part of this planet, it would be the same story. It's not that any of it's right or wrong, it's that you, whoever you were, either now or one of Socrates' buddies hanging around 2,500 years ago, that is expand the factual world as it is then in you, not out there. It's not questioning people out there on the basis of, wait a minute, you guys say you know what you're doing, all you experts, even all you ordinary people. No, you don't. Well, sure they don't. Sure they do. So what? Are you going to be... Do I have to remind you of one of the Kairouch stories? Hint, hint. This one might be serious. It even frightens some of you. That one guy said that he heard a story, he heard a legend, that the great powers that be, the great forces, that every now and then to people that really think they're onto something, that they will make them see in a particular way the stupidity, the ironies of life, just to see if they're stupid enough to get mad about it. There's the conspiracy. Everybody worries about, well, it's the bankers going to get together. It's some kind of right-wing organizations. They'll press them out like cheap wine. The real conspiracy is for the forces to continually present one. Now let's drop the stuff about the stupidity of life. Present a man here and there with the ability he suddenly sees what's going on and doesn't like it. Then life realize, well, another one bites the dust. You can be Socrates, Jesus, or a member of Queen. Whatever happened to them? But another one, you're down the drain. It's a test. Just imagine you suddenly meet somebody working in Burger Doodle or in Macy's, the 7-Eleven store, and they say something just entirely stupid. I mean, unbelievably stupid. And you go, God almighty. You know, see, what you don't know was, that was a test. No religion, no morality involved. It's not that God's going, let's see if he has any humility. Let's see if he can favor his fellow man by overlooking his apparent intellectual shortcoming. Nah, it ain't that. What if it's just a test? They just throw out this kind of stupid stuff to see if you go, God damn. Because if you do, let me be magnanimous about it. At best, you're as stupid as they are. That is, you're as locked as they are. You can't ask a question. Your question's already been asked. You're part of that which you're trying to study. You're saying, well, I'm trying to study life and to see if people know anything, if life's getting any better. But my God, I'm surrounded by dunder-headed Philistines. You're right, you are. I mean, surrounded just starts to describe your position. Fade to, not just black, how about to a mauve? Or how about sort of an off blue, an aquamarine, if you'd fade to. And the music swells. Roll the credits.